Live Premiership football from the JJB Stadium. It's Wigan against Arsenal this afternoon. We are, of course, interactive. Sky Digital viewers, push the red button on the remote control, follow the instructions. That's the menu page you'll find. Amongst the facilities player cam, Thierry Henry will be following first up. Match commentators, Andy Gray, who I know used to drink in the Shakespeare, and Martin Tyler.
From the 1400 or so, watched Wigan at their old Springfield Park when Dave Whelan took over, to 24,000 plus here in the state-of-an-art stadium. And Wigan play Arsenal for the first time. A sense of disbelief, but the home club are 5 points clear of the mighty team from North London, and they're ready to go. There is a great gulf in history and tradition, but today is about what happens on the pitch. There's Lee McCulloch, a central striker converted into a left-sided midfield player by Paul Jewell. Sol Campbell's header, and Kavanagh. Damien Francis here. Under soil heating hasn't been needed for a while, and there's a bit of rustiness in the system. But certainly the pitch in thoroughly playable condition after a cold night up in the northwest. Kavanagh takes. Bullard bringing it the way he was facing. Same applied to Osho, but he miscued somewhat. Here's Camera. Rory having trouble with the bounce, but answering the question. Kavanagh getting back.
Well, that's going to be the danger, you feel, if we're going to get a bit of pressure. That little breakout. If Henry and Van Persie had been able to get control of the ball a little quicker, and they were caught high up the pitch, the two centre-backs, that's danger. But they've started like a team of 6 out of 6. There's a spring about the step, there's energy about them. They're quick to everything.
Well, whatever happens here, they will still be second place in the table tomorrow morning. They could be overtaken by Bolton on Monday night. By Dizeo. Better defending early on for the Gunners, and Lauren only just diverted out. Oh, it was there to be hit for Lee McCulloch.
Now his chances go, it's a half one. Just a nice little bit of movement between him and Roberts, little crossover. It's a half a chance.
Arsenal prepared to play it from the back. A short goal kick by Lehmann. Sol Campbell was only an England substitute, not used in Geneva last Saturday. Here's Pires. Henry, who has scored against all the clubs currently in the Premiership, except, of course, the two involved in this match. Never faced Wigan before, and played a league game against Arsenal. Graham Poll is the referee. Yellow card for Kolo Toure after 3 minutes.
Well, that's an example of the pace that they have up front, Wigan. So they can rely on Camera and Roberts. You watch this, he's got strength, Roberts, he's got power, but he's also quick. And he's muscled and forced his way past Toure. It's a right to book him. No attempt to play the ball there.
Kolo Toure, you say some of the players were back at the start of the week, but Toure played against Italy for the Ivory Coast on Wednesday. And his return to Premiership play blighted an early mistimed challenge, and he's got to mind his behaviour now for a long time in this game. McCulloch, a bit of ball smuggling. Bullard, Chimbonga, of course, is outside him. Bullard plays a cross in towards the head of McCulloch. It drops for Francis. This is Camara. It's McCulloch.
What a chance. What a chance. Well, this has been a brilliant start from Wigan. They really tore at Arsenal and got them on the back foot from the first minute. It's not so much this one, but this one from McCulloch. It's not that difficult. He had time, he had a little bit of space, he's got enough ability. He just doesn't get enough on it. Maybe came at him a little quickly.
Paul Jewell expects, and his side have come quickly out of the blocks here. And while you were looking at that replay, Andy, Lehmann kicked the ball nervously out of play. Arsenal haven't begun yet.
I think they're still in that housing estate in the middle of Wigan by the looks of it, aren't they? They got lost earlier on.
Ljungberg. Now Fabregas.
Oh, that's late. That'll be a booking.
Odiseo.
Yeah, it's got to be a booking. After booking Torre, he's no option. He was never, ever getting to the ball. Drags him out here, Henry. You can see how late he is. It's quite a simple decision from Graham Paul.
Campbell loping forward, scored those 2 goals earlier this season against Everton. Henry takes it. And John Finan finding the ball bouncing in front of him. If Arsenal had any real goal-poaching about them.
That's terrible. Henry's asking a question, actually, Martin. He's looking there and he's pointing his hand and saying, what's happening? He's done the job. And this is always likely to happen today. Really cold, it's wet and damp. Someone's got a tap in if they wanted.
Roberts. Francis is offside. Lehmann saved it anyway.
There's still a threat, isn't it? Can't be much in this. He's about a yard. They get a good line, Arsenal. Look at that. Edge of the 18-yard box. Perfect. Simple decision for the linesman.
A back line that George Graham would have been proud of.
Yeah. The only thing George would have been disappointed, no arms up in the air.
Ljungberg. Here's Fabregas. Half an invitation to shoot. So trying to pass it through a rather congested Wigan line-up on the edge of the penalty area. Chimbonda, worn by gloves and for the first time tights. It's too quick for Bullard.
I think they'll be quite happy to let Chimbonda go. Natural instinct for him is to run forward. And he doesn't seem worried about what he's leaving behind. And I just wonder if at one time in the match or a couple of times that they're going to lose it and just find Henry very quickly.
Pascal Chimbonda has been saying in French, but it's translated as "I'm not designed for cold weather." Coming from the French Caribbean of Guadeloupe. He looks designed for Premiership football.
He certainly does.
Here's the stand-in left-back, Pascal Seagal.
This is what they've done quite well as well, Wigan, when they haven't had the ball. They've been prepared, you know, to take a gamble, Martin, and play high up the pitch and put pressure on the back four. At the moment, that's worked okay for them. Arsenal haven't been able to exploit it. He's a little agitated, Arsene Wenger. But I don't think his team have started. I don't think they've settled yet at all, Arsenal. And partly because Wigan have really got started very brightly.
Held his position. There's no flag against him. Yelling for handball by Fabregas, not seen that way by Graham Poll, who's fitting in a rare domestic assignment while he's overseas refereeing. He's back from a World Cup playoff in Prague, heading off for Champions League duty.
That's very nice of him to fit in a Premiership game. Thanks, Graham. Well done, mate.
He's got the World Club Championship coming up in Japan in December.
No, that's typical of passing of Arsenal at the moment. Not quite good enough.
Well, another factor, of course, that this is not the Highbury billiard table, is it?
That's not bad. I have to say, the ball's running across it very nicely.
Seagull. Camera. Good sprinkling of these Wigan players have faced Arsenal before in the colours of other clubs. Archer, of course, won an FA Cup final against the Gunners in 2001.
Played well in goal that day, didn't he?
Yes,
if I remember rightly.
He got away with a handball by the post, didn't he? And there's a story to that involving Graham Poll, because Thierry Henry later had a real go at Graham Poll, who he thought was the referee in that cup final, which was Steve Dunn. A mistaken identity by Henry after that match against Newcastle at Highbury later in 2001. Graham Poll wasn't very impressed, I don't think, by the story. But it was Stéphane Anchot. Haven't heard what Steve Dunn thought about it. Lauren's throw. Toure. Ljungberg, he's had some wisdom teeth removed, as well as being in need of treatment for a hamstring strain. Covered in there behind Chimbonda with Bullard. Campbell, still trying to put one or two passes together, and a lovely turn past Zeu and his fellow Dutchman Robin van Persie, and it goes through John Filan. And really, with the first shot in anger, first shot that's been really properly hit, Robin van Persie continues his tremendous recent run.
Brilliant turn, but the goalkeeper should save it, and he'll know it. This is a danger if they get the top two in the game, Martin, against the back four. That is a simple turn, but they can't get back, they don't have the pace. But that's bread and butter, it moves a little. And when it's down at your feet like that, it's never a bread and butter save. But it's one that John Filan will think he should have made, that's for sure. It's the first real attack in anger from the Gunners, but that's maybe the difference.
It's been a jubilant week for any Australian involved in football, but John Filan, a goalkeeper who's not in the current Socceroos squad, but maybe thinking about making a burst over the second half of the season to win a place in Germany, hasn't helped his cause here. But De Zeu, having been booked, couldn't do anything drastic to stop Van Persie at the turn. There's a shot that if goalkeepers ever thought that way, he could have kicked away, really.
Absolutely. Well, there's lots to do that, and quite rightly so. It's the easiest thing to do. But it did dip, and it did swerve a little. But you'd still expect the goalkeeper to save it. That's why the disappointment was all over John Filan's face. But this is a test. If Paul Gill thought this wasn't really the start of a big test, I think he knows now it really is.
So it's now 6 in 5 in Van Persie's run. And he struck it, whatever the goalkeeping deficiencies were, he struck it with a confident air.
Well, he didn't even look for Ljungberg. He actually should have slid Ljungberg in, if I'm being absolutely honest with you, who was in acres of space, just left of him and threw in goal. And had John Filan made the save, you can bet Ljungberg would have let Van Persie know.
Pires and Henry and Wigan have got problems again. Even though Henry's got to wait for support, it's arriving now. Van Persie and back with Pires. Ljungberg by the far post. Van Persie has just put it wide.
Super effort. Not a lot they can do here. They're high up the pitch, but also trying to get back. It's exactly what Arsenal would want to do. Lovely support play all round from Arsenal here. It's a great effort. It's the old saying, the goals don't move. Van Persie knows that, and he's just turning and hoping he's going to find the far corner. Playing with a confidence about him now.
And we're able to take it down. And suddenly there's a real menace about Arsenal.
Well, they took it down. It's quite simple because they're frightened of going too near him. He turns beyond them, so they drop off, and I think that's probably the right decision. Just drop off and say, go on then, at least we're back in there, and you still have to do something.
The early goal has almost set it up for Arsenal. They know Wigan will press on. They're so good at putting their football together on the counter-attack. And remember, they're looking for their first away win in the Premiership this season.
To be fair, they've played most of them, apart from the Chelsea game, without the man in the ball now, Thierry Henry.
Well, he's seen the goalkeeper. He might just be a little bit short of self-belief. He didn't say that about Henry, but he saw Phelan off his line and trying to deliver a dipper.
Well, it's worth it. I mean, there's a huge distance out.
It's a huge distance wide.
Yeah, it was.
Hasn't scored an away goal in the league since February. It's a surprising statistic, but he has missed a number of games, as you've rightly said, Andy. Good untidy from Roberts. Cam on offer for Sky Digital viewers, and the subject at the moment is Wigan's Jason Roberts. Perez. Gazelle. Down by Baines. Trying to get in behind Toure, which he managed to do. The ball didn't drop for him, but they're collected by Francis. McCulloch against Lehmann, who played for Germany against France last weekend and kept a clean sheet in the Stade de France. Still fighting tooth and nail for that #1 berth for his country. Found Bullard going for the same ball. Bonda with the interception. Bullard. Good movement by Camera. Off wrong-footed McCulloch.
The off didn't match the movement. It's been over a year since Wigan lost a game by more than one goal, which suggests that in that year they've kept themselves in games. And I think that's the important thing now, having conceded the early goals, that they do keep themselves very much in the game. Because Arsenal have I think a confidence and a form about them now that they probably didn't have a month ago.
Well, we talked about their defeats, but a lot of them were early in the season, and they've lost only one of their last 12 games in all competitions. Van Persie. Delighting with the drag-backs.
He didn't delight his skipper, Mr. Henry, I can assure you, Mr. Tyler. I looked up and he just wanted it slid through, and it didn't come.
Take it a pass now from Fabregas. Thought about going it alone. He was wondering where Ljungberg was as well, whether he might intervene. Chimponda. All the way across on the cover. Gilberto. Lauren. And Henry. Arsenal starting to pick some passes and pick some holes in Wigan at the back. There's a Tackle with an air of desperation about it a moment or two ago from Ancho on Henri. Pires, nothing wide at the moment to him. Lauren's got there now. Well, Andy, you said it often enough, goals change games. A game that Wigan had begun with real gusto. And now Arsenal have profited from Van Persie's strike. Now the team radiating the confidence and looking the more likely to score again.
Well, they're suddenly finding the target now with the passes that they weren't doing the opening, the opening 10 minutes or so before the goal. Well, maybe not that passes.
Yeah, it's another misplaced kick from Lehmann. Bates. That goes up against Roberts. And Seagull working well together. Blue-shaped left side for Arsenal today. Gilberto, that's beautifully measured for Fabregas, and likewise for Henri, and Arsenal have picked their way through to lead at Wigan by 2-0, and Henri has his away goal in the Premiership, and it's come at the JJB Stadium.
Well, whatever you say about Arsenal, form is temporary, class is permanent, and that's exactly what they show in this goal. Absolutely top drawer. Wigan have learned a lot, but they're learning what the really top players in this league can do to you when they're on form, when they're playing with confidence, and when they're as good as this guy here. It looked routine, but that's because the movement was so good and Wigan had no real answer to it. Does that make him 100% now? Teams in this league that he scored against?
Apart from Arsenal.
Apart from Arsenal.
It does. And it's taken him just over 20 minutes to add Wigan to his list of victims. They've actually got another target for the club, be their top league scorer. Oh, not in a moment, because Cameron crosses here. Oh, Damien Francis is just reaching back for a ball. If it had been in front of him, they might have been celebrating getting one back.
And the back four are asking who the midfield players is actually tracking Damien Francis. It's only just behind him, and that's why he couldn't quite wrap his foot around it. I think Fabregas is the closest player here, but he lets Francis get in front of him. And it's only just a fraction behind him. He was a little early with the swipe at it. That didn't help him either.
Deseo, but it only drops for Pires, who's past McCulloch, or should have got past McCulloch.
It's a free kick, isn't it?
It's a definite free kick. Campbell's challenge. That's been close to being a free kick.
The referee indicated he got the ball. It's the only reason it wasn't.
Toure, Pires taking over. Everybody wanting the ball for Arsenal now. Something of a 10-minute lesson in Premiership life for Wigan. Now, Thierry Henry has now scored 143 league goals for Arsenal. Cliff Bastin, the all-time record, with 150 for the club. So there's another landmark looming.
That's gone this season, I feel. Stays fit. It's another Henry record.
You meant this year, rather than this season.
Yeah, well, it might be if he keeps playing the way he's playing. It might well be this year, certainly this season.
Roberts. Henry on the Wigan side, Henri Camara. Just checked to stay onside. Wigan have to throw.
I think it's a good little example for players. So Toure didn't try to do anything fancy. He just knocked out a play, allows Arsenal to get back, get regrouped, and deal with the cross.
Ballard's cross. Ballard well again. So they have to defend it with Campbell. Kavanagh.
Well, pretty even in attempts at goal. And the important thing is hitting the target in this game, and that's exactly what they've done, Arsenal. Might have had 3 had somebody followed in Henry's free kick as well.
And Van Persie's shot just wide.
Yeah.
They've been very meaningful attempts, the Arsenal ones. Campbell in the lead by 2 goals to 0 in front of the biggest crowd for a match with a round ball here at the JJB. I wonder Arsenal were caught in the traffic. It's the biggest traffic it's been for a Wigan Athletic match here. But the rustiness from the late arrival lasted about 15 minutes. Olsho. Now Bates. Paul Joel did say to me yesterday, I've only got one real fear, and that's that if Arsenal turn on the style, they could beat us by plenty. They can beat anyone by plenty on their day. We'll be pondering those thoughts maybe at the moment. 2 goals have gone into the side that had the best defensive record at the start of the day.
2 goals of ease as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. This goes to Zay, who's in a Barnsley team that lost 5-0 at Highbury, a Portsmouth team that lost 5-1 in an FA Cup tie to Arsenal at Fratton Park. Bates. He's got away from the cock. Now Francis. Lundberg tucking in to make the tackle. Van Persie. And 3 Wigan players went for him. And none of them interrupted his progress. Williams gets a challenge in on Perez, and Olsho was there to help out as well. There's one in behind Toure for Camera to chase. Lehman to see off, rather impetuously perhaps. There's been a lot of talk about the work ethic here at Wigan and the team spirit, and that really is being challenged by Arsenal today.
That's a huge test. The important thing is togetherness for them, and not whatever happens in this game, and it's far from over. Whatever happens is to go on from here. You learn more from losing in football, I have to say. I think you do, and it's easier when you're just winning games and trotting out every week, but you have to really look and search when you start losing games, and Paul Joel will be very conscious of that. He won't want that to start happening.
Chris Hutchings, his assistant. Together at Bradford, of course, and did have a win over Arsenal in Premiership with Bradford City. And Camera has got a goal here. Don't write Wigan off just yet in this match.
Well, it only takes a second. Ooh. And that's all it's taken, but somebody's in trouble here. Was it a swipe at Fabregas, I think? Was it a kick, something like that? But certainly Graham Paul looked to have seen it. But this is a real flashpoint. It happens because Fabregas had got the ball, and he wouldn't release it, and it's a booking. That's out
for Roberts. But then Fabregas came head-to-head with Camera, and Fabregas's spark out, or certainly laid out. Lehman's talking it up on behalf of his teammate.
Well, he's volatile, Lehman, isn't he? He's always quick to react on that. But right back in it at Wigan. Well, that looks like all that's going to happen. I think he's saying that he barged him rather than there was any head contact. That seems to be what Graham Paul's saying. It was a barge and not a contact of heads.
He's saying to Fabregas, I booked the Wigan player.
Man, but this is a goal Arsenal really shouldn't concede. They've got 3v1 at the back post and they don't win the header. But give Camera full marks. He took a gamble, he took a chance, he went in between a couple of players, and it's a fantastic little finish. Jean Dezou wins a big header for his team there, and this is where it all went off. That's it, Roberts, as the barge.
He barged him into camera.
Yeah.
It is Wigan 1, Arsenal 2. Talked about Thierry Henry, now it's Henri Camara who's centre stage.
Well, what a good half hour we've had, eh?
We have.
What a good half hour.
Just to confirm, a booking for Roberts, who went hunting the ball from Fabregas, who probably really wasn't entitled to hang on to it for as long as he did, but
I don't think there's any need to go hunting the ball, in all honesty. You know, bags of time, game can't start.
This is the way to hunt the ball, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
When the game has restarted. And Wigan are doing that, and the flicks and tricks coming out from Henri Camara. Maybe that's a bit premature, they've only got one back.
No, but they're back, and that's the important word that you used there.
Chimbonda's not picked up. It's still Pascal Chimbonda, charged down by Pascal Sigan, crossed by Bullard, and a lot of disappointment in blue and white stripes in the middle that didn't stay in play.
Football's an amazing game, you know. Flat as a pancake at 2-0 down Wigan. Looking like they were really in for a torrid afternoon, and then a free kick later, they're back in it, and suddenly they're swarming all over Arsenal again. Look at the blue and white shirts in there looking for something.
Jason Roberts is very much one of the main men in the dressing room here. He's not the captain of the team, but he carries a lot of clout. There's a misapplied clout on Fabregas. I saw him booked. And it's a mistake by Gilberto, and Roberts is away. Roberts is away! And Arsenal, can they get it away just as Bullard tried to sprint in? Kolo Touré beat him to it.
Oh, this is great stuff. Can't take your eyes off it. And the front two trouble him again, simply because of their strength and their pace. And I wondered, maybe could he have hit it then? He does, but it's not strong enough.
And a little back header from McCulloch.
Oh, what a poor throw. What a poor throw.
Arsenal are rattled. Chimbonda. Kavanagh. Pressed by Fabregas. Kazeu. Keeping his head. But the point you made right at the start, Andy, Jason Roberts, very, very quick. Not perhaps one of the most natural finishers, but he had Arsenal in his wake. Just couldn't dig out a scoring shot at the end. Put it on by McCulloch, just a bit too low. Sigo. Here's Henry. And it was maybe worth a telling off. It might be a booking for Kavanagh.
He'd have taken a booking, yeah, I have to say, because he knows alarm bells are ringing. They've got Henry running at his back four again. He knows that. He's not daft, he's experienced enough. And he's just thinking, all right, I'll just trip him up here. You can see he's not really trying to make any contact with the ball at all. I think he'd accept that, Graham Canning.
Up the card.
Yeah.
So pleased to be back in the Premiership. He had a taste of it with Middlesbrough, and actually was in a Middlesbrough team that beat Arsenal in the very first Premiership season, 92-93. Really careful, Wigan. It's about the balance now, because they don't want to go 2 goals behind again.
No, they're back in it. That is the most important thing.
Archer. Drop it over Seagull. And ball by Seagull, just rolled it away, not far enough to get himself into trouble, but again just to show that Arsenal suddenly have got frowns back on their faces, as was the case until they went 1-0 up when Wigan were calling the tune. It was a cheap offside then.
What we've found is that both teams have had big parts of the game. You know, they started well. Roberts and Camara were proving a handful. Then Arsenal took over, then they've hit back again, and this is typical of what the front two can do. But he doesn't quite get this shot. You can see how he scuffs it. Bullard can't quite get in there. Somehow they get it away.
And Percy, Ingber was just loitering with real intent, wondering whether he could burst through. And Percy happy that Graham Poll saw nothing wrong, and he can be a bit of a powder keg. Perez. That'll be a free kick to Wigan.
Yeah, he just looked at him. Van Persie just edged into Desiree. You watch this, you see he just looks at him. Just a little nudge there, it's a free kick. Of course it is.
35 terrific minutes. Premiership is back, and including today's fare on Prem Plus from 5. West Brom against Everton, also live. Baines with a free kick. Zayu, Francis. They've got themselves within range. Arsenal are not defending a dead ball situation particularly impressively.
Well, this is poor, because a dead ball, you know you get yourself back, so one time you can get organised defensively, and quite simply, Desailly's been too good for Seagan. That was a combination that was important for the goal that Wigan got back.
Osha, camera, more stretch to try and control it than a flick on.
I just think that Sol Campbell has got to take control of that at the back. See if it's a free kick, then listen, you get in, I'm going to take him, because that's obviously who they're aiming for.
Perez, who stayed on the right. Van Persie. Quicker off the mark than Desiree. Osha again with another barnstorming tackle. It needed to be. Wigan might have another goal in them, but you certainly feel that Arsenal should have. If they keep the poise in their passing. Gilberto. It's a mesmerising football match. Forward by Campbell. And Lindbergh able to take it down. Henry just waiting to make sure he was reading his teammate's mind. And then Chimbonda had an arm out, but was anything more than just spreading himself, or he didn't like it just for a second. Gilberto. Seagull. Bit of keep ball for Arsenal here. Perez. Toure. Lauren. Wigan doing what Paul Jewell describes as filling their holes defensively. And it's Francis in the right place. It was on.
Not the best ball. And Damien Francis, to be fair.
Now Buller. Kavanagh. Cry from the crowd to try and tell him that Perez was arriving.
That was a lovely ball, you know, because Olney indicated that he wanted the ball played in there, and then suddenly for some reason put the brakes on. He's just apologising to Perez because he knows it was a good ball. And plenty of attempts in this opening 40 minutes or so. And only the one on target. Sometimes, well, it's not sometimes. Of course, that's the difference at this level. Never hit the target.
Roberts. McCulloch, who's been one of the guilty men off target. Warren's head. He gets the throw. Baines was brushed aside by Fabregas. Arsenal would go third if they were to win this, maybe only for a couple of hours. Robin Van Persie now the subject of player cam for Sky Digital viewers. Via the red button on the remote, it's still red, not red current. I changed it for Arsenal. Seagull, Henry. Bondi was lunging in. And we saw Pascal Seagull lurking on the left. Bullard, could have been a free kick.
I think there were 2 or 3 in all honesty. That could have been free kicks, but because they managed to keep possession, Arsenal, I think Graham Paul just tried to keep the game going.
Yeah, all credit to him for doing that.
Yeah.
What he has to deal with, of course, if Arsenal get a little bit overcooked on it. Sometimes they burn with a sense of injustice, but they've got the free kick here, and certainly it's in a position which Henry will like.
Well, the 2 front men with a goal apiece are over the ball. Certainly made for either of them.
Ireland's had some nervous moments from shots, and he's beaten again. Henry just stands and waits for his teammates to come and congratulate the master.
That seems perfect. Anything that hits the woodwork and ends up in. Just how late does he see it? How quickly does he move for it? It's a brilliant free kick. It's got bend, it's got accuracy, it's got everything you need, and enough pace. I think the goalkeeper moves quick enough, but the quality's there for all to see. This boy's just different class. Different class.
World class.
Yeah. And even that might not be good enough to describe him.
Universal class.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Hint of a smile. Unstoppable. Goalkeeper set up walls to try and do their best on that side. Filan was in a decent position, wasn't he, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't fault his position. I mean, it was far enough out for him to have dealt with it. If it was a foot off the post, I'm sure he would have saved it. The fact is, it's clipped the inside of the post. That's a small difference between success and failure. Success for Arsenal, failure for Wigan, and the set piece.
He's on a first-half hat-trick here. He hasn't got that much time.
Did you mention something about having scored an away goal for how long?
Since February in the league. Yeah. Like buses in North London.
Yeah.
You don't get one for a while and then in quick succession. But he is a genius, Thierry Henry. And when you get into the Premiership, as Wigan are going to find out from time to time this season, there are a few others of his ilk around as well.
Not many, to be fair. Not many.
A few. A few in your new universal category. You can pick out 1 or 2 for the last word. But it was a defining moment of Henry's talent, and maybe a defining moment in this match.
Yeah, you feel that just before half-time. And you see how far out he is. I mean, he takes his time, he's got the pace, looks at the referee. Yeah, enough? He almost said good enough, didn't he there?
Great pictures.
I think good enough sums it up, son.
There he is again. Oh, and Van Persie, he's looking for his second, and Filan to the rescue this time.
Oh, he makes a good save. Oh, that's the trouble. I mean, we talk about Henry's pace, but Van Persie's nippy as well. He's quick, good feet. Looks to get in behind as well. Gives you all sorts of problems too. This has been a great first half. For all sorts of reasons. It's shown us everything that's made Wigan what they are this season. that's shown us the class and ability of Arsenal in spasms in this game. There's just been too much for Wigan. But they're digging in. They'll have to do the same again.
Raymond with his own way of running down the clock. DeZeo. One thing you know about Wigan, they won't buckle. And here is Lee McCulloch. And Bullard, Arsenal have gone away from him. Jimmy Bullard picking away through. They certainly won't buckle.
What a first half we're seeing here today. The strengths and weaknesses of Arsenal and the strengths and weaknesses of Wigan all on show so graphically in this first half. They're all over the place, Arsenal here. They don't win a header. Seagan gets sucked into an area where maybe being a centre half. That's why. But Bullard's composure here, absolute top drawer. If we'd have been wearing an Arsenal shirt, we'd have been eulogising about it. It's a fantastic finish. What an important time, right on half-time.
Astonishing. Jimmy Bullard deemed not good enough at West Ham, his local club. Had to go to Peterborough and then given a chance to come up the ladder with Wigan, showing that he fits in the Premiership. And here's the final goal in this marvellous first half, going to be scored by Wigan Athletic. Until the half-time whistle goes, we can't be sure of that. It's been a real roller coaster ride. And as someone who was lucky enough to be in Geneva last Saturday, well, it's a blessing to be at the JJB this Saturday lunchtime. And here's Camara. And we're facing a situation where Arsenal might not even be in front at half-time. Here's the time, though, for the corner to be taken.
Well, isn't it nice to have it back? It's been a long 2 weeks, but it's been worth the wait.
We have been a bit short on corners, but we get one before the half-time whistle, and Lehmann gets one. Where do we go from here? The down-to-earth approach of Paul Jewell has kept Wigan, his attitude that the team are exemplifying here. Weaker brethren would have been beaten by some of the calibre of Arsenal's play in this first half, and the greatness of Henry in particular. Baines.
Weaker characters would have been gone as well. I tell you, they've got character. They're showing that in bucketfuls this first half, Wigan. It's the first half you really don't want to stop. You want to say to Graham Paul, forget half-time, just play the full 90.
Just turn around and keep going. In from Kavanagh, but not far enough. The referee has played his part as well. He's shaking to blow the half-time whistle, but not just yet. Lehmann's only punched it up in the air. And the effervescent Chimbonda. The Seagull at his back. Get up, says England's most experienced referee. Half-time, breathless stuff. 2 for Henry. Arsenal turned on the style after Wigan had started fast but didn't score. And they were 3-1 in front when Jimmy Bullard breathed new life into the game with a wonderful goal. Camara had scored early at 2-0 to make it 2-1. Robin van Persie had started it. Almost defies description here, but it is the essential ingredient of Wigan, who will not lie down, and no respecters of reputation in their first ever season in the top flight. And Arsenal have been pushed into the realms of the glorious football they can play, but they haven't defended very well, as reflected in this half-time scoreline of Wigan 2, Arsenal 3.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Jamie Redknapp and Niall Quinn are with us. Thoroughly enjoyed that. We may not have time to discuss everything required when we come back. But what a fabulous first 45 minutes. It's Wigan 2, Arsenal 3. Later today, from the Premiership, there is a pay-per-view offering. West Brom play Everton. It's a 5 o'clock start on Prem Plus, channel 437 for details of how to order that. Tonight, Real Madrid meet Barcelona. 6:30 Sky Sports 2 at 8:25 tonight. Football first, Sky Sports 1. A first chance to see, of course, all of today's football. Graham Poll and Thierry Henry. Remember when they were on the pitch at Highbury? Henry took a quick free kick against Chelsea. He wanted to here, look, you can see that. And Graham Poll said, no, wait. Marked out the wall. This is the third goal. If you wondered who Henry was talking to once he'd scored, Graham Poll.
Is that enough? Have I waited long enough, he's saying? Brilliant.
There was an inevitability about it, wasn't there, from that moment?
Yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, he's just so far ahead, his thought process, everything else, and it's a lovely moment there, you know, because you can see him frustrated before he takes the free kick, and then when he scores, it's just.
It's when he gets the ball now, the game almost stands still. It's just such he's so elegant, he's so graceful on the ball. It's just a joy to watch.
We did make
play.
the point at the start. Arsenal yet haven't won on the road this season. He's only played in one of their away games, that one at Chelsea, and they were a little fortunate, let's be honest, to win that. But I mean, plainly he makes a difference. It's an understatement.
The guy's a genius. You know, Martin Tyler said it. He is a genius, and especially Van Persie. I think he's been excellent as well today. They've been very, very good up front, and they've made a real difference to that team. And every time they've been a threat, it's just at the back that Arsenal have had problems, and Wigan will know that. They'll know that if they can keep getting the ball forward, they're going to have every chance, because they seem in disarray at the back.
What will Paul Jewell have said to his team? Not a lot.
It doesn't have
Same
to.
again,
We're
carry
very
on.
proud of them and say, you know, you can't criticise. The goalkeeper's made mistakes, we won't criticise them. You just say to them, lads, you've got a chance of doing something here, and this is probably the most famous result we'll get all year.
Well, let's hope it continues where it left off, and that the managers haven't had too much of an influence on it. Sky Digital viewers, if you wish to go interactive, push the red button on the remote control, follow the instructions. You'll find player cam amongst the facilities then. Henri Camara of Wigan first up in this second half. Commentators Andy Gray and Martin Tyler.
Well, we've still got that sense of disbelief that we had at the start, Richard, which was about the fixture, Wigan playing Arsenal. But what entertainment they brought in front of what is the biggest football crowd here. We've had the attendance confirmed, 25,004. 4 years ago, Wigan were playing here. They lost an early round of the FA Cup to Canvey Island. They've moved on a bit.
Just a bit.
But they are losing to probably still the most watchable team in the country. Arsenal, certainly when they put together the type of play that at times had Wigan chasing the proverbial shadows. That midway period of the first half.
Just saw a nice little touch there before they kicked off. You know, they talked about this contested this game, they competed, there was that one ruck, but it was nice that Fabregas and Jason Roberts just went up to each other, quick shake of the hand as if to say, that's it, done and dusted, lads. That was a nice little touch before it kicked off.
Ljungberg, his progress interrupted by Chimbonda.
He's been quiet on his return, I feel. Freddie Ljungberg might have expected a little bit more, but I think he's happier coming from the other side. I don't think there's a doubt about that. But he's had a job to do here now. He's certainly feel with regards to Chimbonda defensively. In fact, both wide men. Perez has been fairly quiet. Is he shooting? He's not asked to take it quickly, has he?
Graham Paul's really within earshot, but in it comes, and it's easy for Gazeo. And Percy lost his bearings that time.
That was a decent ball in.
Arsenal, of course, have a Champions League game away in Switzerland on Tuesday, and having qualified, they'll be able to ring the changes. Up for those Champions League wins. It might have been the other way around, mightn't it? This might have been the fixture they would have itemised at the beginning of the season, where they could play one or two of the lesser lights, but they've had to come here with their strongest available side, and you can see why. But Ljungberg's the type of player you always feel needs a run of games. It was only his second appearance in the last 7 for Arsenal.
Kavanagh.
Simbonda wins the throw. That's enough to get them cheering again here. And a bit of sorting out done by Sol Campbell. He needs a run of games, really.
Absolutely, yeah, you're right.
The thing that's really gone against him with England has been his rather sporadic appearances in the calendar year. Certainly in the Premiership. And he was completely selling himself as Bullard danced in to give Wigan renewed hope just before half-time.
Well, it's one of those decisions you make, you know. You can see Bullard's tempted him by setting it up for the shot. He takes a shot, and probably Sol makes a great block, and we're talking about that. But he does what he does, and he looks, you look kind of foolish at times.
Campbell across to Lauren. Ljungberg. Simbonda quickly on him. And nearly fouled by the Swede. He's chuntering away at him, the Wigan right back. Kavanagh. Seagull missing the ball. And Paul says yellow card.
I think they both might have done. Certainly shoved along the line, and neither of them gets control of it. He stayed on his feet. I think a book is a little harsh, I have to be honest. It's not as if he was rattled into Bullard from behind. So much to do with it now, but he caught him slightly. But what he's done is given a free kick away in an area where Wigan have really looked threatening. They've put good balls in there, and they've contested them well. They've kept the ball in. And Arsenal have looked a little shaky at the back. They haven't defended very well at all at times.
Jimmy Bullard never misses matches. It's his 121st consecutive start in league football. He's not been absent in a league game since he joined from Peterborough. He was obviously caught from behind there by Pascal Seagull. Former Wigan player Alex Cribley is the physio. Kavanagh takes. Arsenal do get to that one in the shape of Campbell. And Bullard back on. Back in some sort of working order. You can do that in home games, of course. But I think actually he's genuinely hurt, isn't he? He's not one to make a meal of it.
No, I don't know what Terry Henry's back having another little rattle with Graham Toll about something that's upset the Frenchman. He's
really in danger of carrying on the conversation too far. It's a free and frank exchange of views.
And they have a little history between them, don't they?
Yeah, that was that Newcastle game when Arsenal lost at Highbury just before Christmas a few years back. Henry he just wouldn't leave it alone.
No. And there's a little bit like that there, although as captain, I think what he's trying to say to Graham Paul, I'm captain, so am I not entitled to you? I think Graham Paul was saying, well, it's a little bit too aggressive, the way you're asking the questions.
Bullard's header, Chimbonda. Wigan trying to pick up the tempo, which they finished the half and certainly started the first half, although it didn't bring them any early reward. Then, Oncho. They used well in their promotion campaign to get McCulloch coming in from the left-hand side. He's definitely built like the striker he once was. A lot of goals as a late arrival. And the ball's swinging from the opposite flank as they flip away out of the Championship into the Premiership. There comes Baines, playing it early to Roberts. There was support there, but not quite where Roberts flipped the ball to. Pires.
Well, if at times they might have been outclassed at times, Wigan, they haven't been out-scrapped. I think when the game's going to scrap, they've been good. They've won little second balls, they've won most little headers that have dropped down there. And when they've been able to get close, and Paul Jules' side have been all right. When the game opens up, just at times you just fear Arsenal can just turn it on again.
All right. Wanting the goalkeeper to come, and he didn't, and Van Persie didn't give it up, and it's led to a corner conceded by De Zeu. Chimbonda and Phelan have their own quick post-mortem.
Well, he threatened to come, John Phelan, that was the key there, and Chimbonda thought he was coming. It's never going in, obviously. Well, his English might not be great, but I think he'll let John Phelan know what he felt about that situation.
Phelan in trouble again.
Campbell powering in, and I think Tory's only inches away from getting a little touch that he needs to score here. It's a lovely ball, and it's tempting, it's saying, go and get me. Oh, and Tory goes in early, and he just sticks a leg out, and he's only about a foot away from that.
It split the difference, the ball in the end. And the difference remains the one goal. There've been a couple of spells in this match, not for very long on either occasion, when Arsenal have had the luxury of being 2 goals to the good, 2-0 and 3-1, and I might have thought they'd be beyond the scrap, but Wigan have hauled them back into a battle each time.
Well, we talked about it early on. The thing about the last year for Paul Jules' side is they've always somehow kept themselves in the game, and that's been key. And they've had to dig extremely deep to do that today.
There's a little bit of the Roy Keane about Graham Kavanagh, both of course in the Republic of Ireland, and Kavanagh will tell you he's a huge Roy Keane fan. When you look at clubs who have the money to bring Roy Keane into the Premiership if he wants to come back, Wigan bid a lot of money for Scott Parker. He decided to go elsewhere.
I think they were a tidy queue. What about Arsenal?
Yeah. Well, I don't think Arsene Wenger is ruling it out, shall we say. Shame for Wigan, because Oncho had spotted the potential in the pass in behind the somewhat makeshift left back. Pascal Sigon has played this position before, but he's up here as a left-sided central defender. And he's conspicuously missing when Jimmy Bullard scored Wigan's second. Here is Bullard. Kavanagh. Chimbonda had to check, but it's in a bit of a chase. There's Raymond's ball in the end.
It's a little bit like the start of the first half, this. They're not allowing Arsenal to get any play at all, but
he's judged by De Zeu. And here's Robin Van Persie, and De Zeu gets back. Henry's still there. Ljungberg, Chimbonda, and Wigan breathe again.
Well, they made a mess of that. It's a golden chance to put them 2 ahead again. Bad touch from Robin van Persie, if I'm honest.
Here's Perez. Lauren. Sorted out by Deseo that time. Baines. It would have been with the England under-21s in that playoff scenario against France. Up for injury. Here's Chimbonda of the swashbuckling style. Kavanagh. And we can show that they can pass it around as well. Bullard. Mentioned, Andy, the story that got in the papers last weekend that Jimmy Bullard has a qualification for Germany for his grandmother. It's been rather rubbish by Paul Jewell, of all people.
Well, this is an opportunity. It's a mistake, it's a missed header. I just think Van Persie, if he controls this onto his left foot instead of onto his right side, and he doesn't give Deseo a chance to come back. After that, the chance is gone for me.
Kavanagh. Chimbonda didn't really want it back that time. And here's Henry in a position that he loves, lurching on the left. And Fabregas turned his back.
Yeah, tried to kill a ball there. Don't think that was the easiest. Did a trio of options there, and he chose the most difficult one.
Bullard, who seems to be moving freely again, but Gilberto gets the better of him. And Persie. Supporting Perez on the outside. Henry. Trying to slot it through for Ljungberg. Making the back in the right areas. Powerful run by Francis, but not with the ball under total mastery. You give it to Arsenal in a game like this, you might have to sweat a while to get it back. Francis, in fact, on a personal crusade to retrieve possession, and gives away the free kick. If I was Jimmy Bullard, I'd get a tape of the goal he's just scored against Arsenal and mail it to a certain Jay Klinsmann, Esquire. National coach of Germany, in case you're quite up to speed with your international football, because of his German qualification for his grandmother Rose. Henry. Gilberto. Now Lauren. Perez. It's been an important time in the match this, if Wigan can see off the Arsenal threat and galvanise themselves for the last third of the game. Camara already a scorer against Arsenal here.
Decent defending that time. Polo Torre.
Van Persie came off Deseo well. It's done that much of the match. Fabregas. Ljungberg. Only waiting on the left. Chimbonda here. Actually anticipated what was in Henry's mind.
I think he's seen it. He showed his experience. He had a pretty good idea that Henry would be coming inside onto his right foot.
When Wigan do get the ball back, they've just got to try and retain it a little bit better at the moment. Good spell this for Arsenal.
Yeah, I think they started all right. Up in 10 minutes of the second half, they'd been okay. Wigan, it's a bit disjointed, the game, and it suits them. But just at the first half, Arsenal just starting a little bit to dominate possession.
Baines.
It's pretty much dominant, isn't it, that, when you see it?
It's been in reasonable areas as well, hasn't it?
Yeah. I just feel that, you know, if they want to spark Arsenal, I do feel that the two I've mentioned, Perez and Freddie Ljungberg, have been less than their effective selves. And he's got good options. He's got Bergkamp, he's got Reyes down there. It'll just freshen things up. It's like there must be the areas that Arsene Wenger would be looking at.
Good done by Fabregas. And just as Perez and Ljungberg have been quiet, Henry and Van Persie have been really on top of their form.
That'd been a threat. You know, you've got front men, that's what you want to say at the end of the game. Were you a threat? The answer quite simply is yes, they have been.
Gilberto. Just wonder, with Arsenal having had more players away on international duty, whether this later chapters of this story might favour Wigan.
Well, they might. I mean, Wigan have been involved in some late finishes so far this season.
Henry heads on, now Ljungberg. Confronted by Olsha. He's trying to roll it through for Henry, Arsenal style. Back with Perez. Gilberto. Lauren. Let's keep ball again from Arsene Wenger's team. Back to the left again. And, a bit heavy-footed from Pascal Siegel. And Wigan have wasted it from a throw as well. If it leads to a goal here, which it might well have done, Paul Jewell would have been livid. Fabregas.
He is livid, he's out the touchline. He's furious to get caught so cheaply here. Little sloppy Bullard. But watch this little flick from Henry here. A little through the legs, and it sits up, in fairness to Cesc Fabregas. You watch this, it just jumps, I think, as he goes to hit it. There it is, it just bobbles, and he gets underneath it.
Just that sixth sense from Henry again that sets him apart. Olsha hammers it away. Bergkamp is going to assess Freddie Ljungberg for Sky Digital viewers. Wonder whether he'll complete the stint in front of the camera, whether Arsene Wenger is thinking about making a change, because he hasn't played, as we've mentioned 1 or 2 times already, he hasn't played much recently. Bergkamp has travelled up here by road. Of course, the Arsenal team flew up yesterday afternoon.
Little unlucky. It might just have caught Gilberto. It was good pressure. I'm just thinking about today's game. It's at half-time when coaches and managers become a pest. You know, because they do things in the dressing room and say, listen, we've conceded 2, we've conceded 3, got to tighten up a little bit, do this, do that, and try and tighten everything up. And it just makes it more difficult to have anything like we had in the first half.
Siegel. In just by Ljungberg. Back here by Van Persie. Fabregas, Henry's waiting. And Lee McCulloch gets a medal for Wigan, really.
Did well.
Back in there.
Part and parcel of your job if you're a midfield player. Sense of danger when you're defending. Talked about that before the game. Back four have done well, but so have the quartet of midfield players defensively been good for Wigan this season. That was a little example of why.
Arsenal continue to call the tune here. They haven't got a second-half goal to show for some of their superior play. Ljungberg. Pires opts to take a touch in towards Fabregas, who's trying to nick a goal at the near post.
He's got a lot of life for the goal, says Fabregas. I don't think there's a doubt about that. He does like to get in the penalty area.
5,000 fans here in the Arsenal section of the ground, behind the goal that John Filan is defending. A goal that certainly Arsenal are attacking with real quality. There's been fewer attempts, haven't there, in the second half?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean, coaches, they get in the way of a good game.
Roberts turns Toure, and it runs just wide of McCulloch, but he will get there first. Camera not picked up. Ori Camera going in, the ball didn't quite get to him.
Well, that was a big header.
Campbell intervened.
I think Camera's in ahead of Seagan here. But they get caught really, really deep, Colo Toure, and he just tries to beat him one time too many. And I just think that this is a big header. Campbell's looking around, and Camera is in ahead of Seagan. And that was why the header was important.
Oncho is rarely this far forward in any football match he plays in.
That's probably why we've just seen.
Desperate times, desperate measures. And for Lehmann, maybe the feet get cold on chilly November afternoons in the northwest, but his kicking today has been less than exemplary. And here's Camera.
Really coming from nowhere. Arsenal really at times have been very, very lacklustre at the back. Concentration hasn't been as good as it should be. And that's a hard thing. When you're 3-2 up, you only got the one goal lead.
That's a great tackle by Camera, who gave it away with a flashy moment that wasn't really right for the situation. But he's got the Wigan work ethic as well. Bullard. Isaiah playing safe. Able to chase it up.
One free kick, one set play for Wigan. One little lapse of concentration. And Arsenal have looked fairly comfortable at the back in the second half. Lead hasn't really been threatened that often. A lot of good work will have gone to waste.
Well, one phrase from your collective works, Andy, I heard you say so often, the next goal. Well, Arsenal can't look sometimes, but it is the next goal here, isn't it? If Arsenal get 4-2 in front, there's no back even for a team like Wigan and all their fighting spirit. At least you would think not. But should Wigan score, Arsenal, knowing what people are saying about their poor away form, they can be the greatest players in the world, and they've got some that come into that category. If your self-belief isn't there in certain circumstances...
Well, you'll be a little nervy at the back, and I think that the back four are nervy at the moment. They're playing like that. They know there's only a one-goal lead. You'd be much more comfortable as a defender when you're protecting a two-goal cushion, but they haven't been good enough to do that for long enough in this game. I don't think they kept a two-goal lead. It could have been for much more than 5 minutes either time. And that's why I'm a little surprised that Arsene Wenger hasn't made a change. And
he's got Philippe Senderos if he wants to beef it up even further at the back. Gilberto is the midfield screener, really. Lauren. And now Fabregas. Ori. Ljungberg cropping up away from the left-hand side. Maybe with a better chance of influencing proceedings. Lauren. Pires. Francis. And Graham Poll saw Pires coming together with Lee McCulloch. Wigan wasting no time restarting the game with a free kick. You can understand that, but it was Arsenal's turn to defend from the front. Roberts. Oh, so Gilberto was caught on the side of the head, maybe. He's a little shaken up by that. Lost his bearings. Here goes Roberts. Chimbonda's down. The assistant has flagged. It's Phil Sharp, who actually took part in the last World Cup final. So that's the calibre of his skills on the line.
Good opportunity here. I mean, he might take the shot, but I would be surprised. There's a lovely little gap. They're high up. There's a lovely little gap just to drop this in. Corner of the far 16-yard box would be a pretty good angle. That's it.
Culloch. This is Chimbonda. Oh, did it run off Seagull's arm?
There's a lovely ball on from Bullard. I think it was McCulloch who just got underneath it a little.
Back from Filer. Culloch's there again. Away by Toure, but nothing more than that. Kavanagh. Baines. Camera trying to get in behind Kolo Toure here. He's lost his footing. He tried the trick. It's the place to try them.
Absolutely. You always tell players that if you can get the ball on your feet in the box, try things. Well, change is happening
on Mathieu Flamini. It's a toss-up between Perez and Ljungberg, you would think.
Yes, it's Perez. I have to say, I'm not surprised. Bergkamp coming on as well, that'll be a more interesting one. It might be Van Persie. That would seem the logical one for that. Nothing to do with how poorly he might have played if it is Van Persie.
Perez has been on the periphery. And the midfield player who takes over from him is Flamini.
Yeah, it is Van Persie.
He's enhanced his stature for Arsenal again. It's always a player who's going to rev up the opposing fans, but the Arsenal supporters are cheering him. And a man who's surely a mentor to Van Persie, Dennis Bergkamp. At least he's going to get 15 minutes for his long car journey up and back to the JJB. Kavanagh. Toure. And Kavanagh. The head taps. And now Francis, playing the Premiership last season for Norwich, of course, and prior to that with Wimbledon before they went down. Osho. There's no offside over the flag. Of course, the assistants are encouraged to wait. I mean, we all have to get used to that.
Well, my first instinct was offside, I have to be honest.
And you were right. Bullard. Bullish, that's Wigan Athletic. They've had a lot of chasing to do in this second half. Arsenal have had the greatest share of possession. Hasn't led to that 2-goal position for a third time in this match for the Gunners. Bergkamp. Turned into Jimmy Bullard's challenge. Henri. A little untidy, but we can get it away. It's been not much more than that for the most part in the second half. Bullard. That's one of Seagull. Tries again. Much more than a token challenge from Gilberto. Prodded away by Seagull. Wigan ball. And there are 13 minutes to go. Pat Rice being told to, at the very least, get back into the seating part of the technical area. Damien Francis off. Ryan Taylor, who did represent England under-21s against France in both those games either side of last weekend.
Yeah, just shift Goulard infield alongside Kavanagh for the last 12 or 13 minutes of this match.
Lauren. Goulard now able to maybe get a little bit more involved, having been pressed tight against the touchline by the role given to him. Quick reminder to tell you what's happening on Super Sunday. It's Middlesbrough against Fulham, and we start at 3:30 on Sky Sports 1. Touré's free kick. McCart cut towards Roberts, but Campbell vigilant. Seagull. Lauren.
Heavy touch from Flamini. It was always a possibility that as soon as his first touch was as heavy as it was.
Got a booking for it. Trying to make up for the miscontrol there.
Yeah. Nothing vicious, he was just probably embarrassed by the heaviness of the touch.
Not dissimilar. McCulloch got sent off recently, didn't he, with a ball that got away from him. I think it was against Emre and Newcastle
United.
United.
He was a lot higher, though, wasn't he, in fairness?
He was. Roberts able to get to it. Still Roberts. And Graham Poll was right on the spot to see if there was any pulling back there on the Wigan striker. It was an excellent piece of refereeing. It needed to be seen at close order.
Well, that's how delicate this lead is. With a ball, just a thumped ball straight up the pitch, and he almost gets through. Kolo Toure did really well in the end. And that's the slenderness of this lead. And you just wonder what it could do to Arsenal, Martin, if they were to concede an equaliser here in this last 10 minutes.
And there are 10 minutes plus added time. Still some undecided issues here. Well, the points will go, of course, the major one. Could Henry get a hat-trick?
Yeah. Well, this has been too good a game just to finish on a whimper and just drift away. It needs a big incident to end it.
That was so close to being it for Henry Camara. And you could see why Kavanagh played it quickly to try and catch Arsenal coming out, but it went straight towards Lehmann. His distribution has been mixed today. Arsenal previously with just 2 away points. They're closing in on 3 here. 3 first-half goals. Flamini. Just stopping it reaching Bergkamp. Flamini again. And Bullard can nick it back for Wigan. Couldn't keep his balance, and support around him for once. But Wigan was a little on the tentative side. And Kavanagh, that's a fine ball for Roberts, a chance to run. Sol Campbell.
I tell you, he was a little unlucky, but he didn't quite get the ball out far enough in front of him when he was trying to get past Sol Campbell.
That's the problem when Sol Campbell has been missing matches, just to get his shape right again. He needs to be finely tuned, his natural size. And you wondered for him then, as Jason Roberts tried to take him on. It's newfound support for Wigan Athletic. Trying to carry the team towards what would be another absolutely tremendous result if they could get a point after being 2-0 down and 3-1 down. The last game here against Fulham, Pascal Chimbonda won the game in the 92nd minute. They go right to the wire. Of course, one of the two previous games that Wigan have lost in the Premiership, they lost in the 92nd minute to Alan Crespo and Chelsea here back in August. So do not move away from your screens, ladies and gentlemen. Ljungberg. Corner for Arsenal. Arsenal's second corner to go with 3 goals.
Can't believe I've seen anyone with only 4 corners in it before. Certainly not for a while.
Right. Got through a lot. This is Gilberto. Now Bullard. He could have maybe put one over the top for camera, but it went to Roberts instead. It's a terrific tackle by Fabregas.
Oh, it was.
Norrie winding himself up for the switch of play. It's a spot on to Ljungberg. Bergkamp. Low. It's been a certain measure to much of Arsenal's football in the second half. Wigan have had to pick their moments.
Yeah.
Had to concentrate a fair amount on just getting the shape. When Arsenal do put the pass astray, that they're ready. Some risks need to be taken now by Paul Jewell's team.
Another change going to be made. Paul Jewell just calling one of the subs back.
Bullard. Encho. And Chimbonda. Taylor stuck at it. And there's good vision with his pass for Roberts, who powers away. And Wigan a touch away.
Well, that was a moment. Is it a bad ball, or does he get in too early, Lee McCullough? This first pass brilliant from Roberts. Power and strength again. No, I don't think it's a great ball, if I'm honest. I think a little bit more care from Roberts. Just feed it in there. He rather scuffs it again. A little bit like he did with his shot in the first half. A little slid pass. And he surely would have equalised, Lee McCullough.
David Connolly's been out with hamstring trouble. I haven't seen too much of him, the Wigan fans, since his move from Leicester, but he is a goal scorer. And Wigan need someone to score a goal. Taylor. And that's deflected. Taylor asked the question, but
Not with any great conviction, really, no. As Lee McCullough is coming off.
Much travelled David Connolly. Watford, Wolves, West Ham, Wigan. Something about the clubs beginning with W's. He was born in Willesden. And represents, of course, the Republic of Ireland. Chimbonda with an inspiring header, maybe. Bullard Gilberto hesitated. Kavanagh. Again, Arsenal blocked it off quite cleverly. Speculative from De Zeu. A bit of a slice as well. Chimbonda did well to keep it in. But Fabregas can turn. Just. From behind.
To work extremely hard for this position, Arsenal. They really have tested them. Wigan, maybe not as often as they'd have liked second half, but they have created that wonderful opportunity a couple of minutes ago.
Oh, both sets of fans in full cry, and it's been a match that's been worthy of their support and worthy of showing to you in its entirety. Taking all the time that Graham Poll allows. Seagull. If it is to be defeat for Wigan, of the gallant variety. They're beaten here by Chelsea and then lost their second game at Charlton, which was probably the only game, Andy, that they actually deserved to lose. Maybe they haven't quite done enough here, but they've still got time to take something from the game.
Well, the skipper's heading up there. De Zeu has been a problem for them, Arsenal to deal with.
Taylor's got a lengthy throw. And Chimbonda, of course, is on a hat-trick of his own. He's scored in the last 2 games for Wigan. Taylor. Graham Poll has spotted Roberts making a bit of a back.
I think that was a rather generous free kick. He can't believe it. I'm with him in that. He said he makes a back, but he just stands his ground. We often talk about defenders standing the ground. Nothing in the rules that says Jason Roberts has got to get out the way. Another poor kick from Lehman.
It's a bit of a scattergun approach from him today. Chimbonda. Trying to muscle that off with his upper body. Fabregas feeling that his progress has been interrupted too often.
He's played well today for me, Fabregas. You know, there's a lot of stars in that midfield. 3 extra minutes. You know, the 3 others in there, bigger names than him. Perez, Ljungberg and Gilberto, but I think he's been excellent today, says Fabregas. Really impressed me.
Response from Graham Poll. Wigan's throw. Still a couple of minutes on the clock.
And this is a total substitution, isn't it?
Philip Sendros, who was last seen heading for that tunnel in Turkey, is a member of the successful Switzerland side. Qualified for the World Cup. All sorts went on out of the view of the cameras.
Well, it hasn't been his best day, Freddie Ljungberg's performance-wise, but it's money in the bank, I always call it, and you're back from injury and you get 90 minutes under your belt at this level. Well, it's a tank filling up.
It's a tank coming on.
Well, he's just going to play as a centre-back, Senderos, for 3 minutes.
There he is, it's a gap.
Yeah.
Well, you could look at this, Andy, as a reality check for a romantic story, but it's not been as simple as that, has it? Because Wigan have stood toe-to-toe with Arsenal here.
Well, I think Wigan have showed us why they've won 6 in a row, why they've won 8 league games already this season, why they're proven to be so hard to beat. And yes, it is a defeat, but it's not a defeat that can, I think, really harm their confidence in any way. You know, if they come up against Arsenal, they got beaten 4 or 5, then maybe that would have been the case, but not today.
And they haven't yet been defeated, because here's Chimbonda, and Connolly and Kavanagh. They're collected here by Marianne Dezoe. Over ambitious from Bullard, but you can understand what he was trying to do. There were times in the first half where you thought that big heavy defeat might be looming for Wigan. And Arsenal was suddenly scoring goals at will. Oh, he was bestriding the match. Wigan have come a long way in a short space of time, and you don't do that without tenacity to go with the talent.
Oh, it's got to go forward. I don't understand tossing it across the back, lads. I'm afraid.
And it does. It goes straight to Gilberto's position for just that sort of ball. And that's not really long enough for Wigan. And the game isn't long enough, it seems, for Wigan. It's over. Thierry Henry with a gesture of triumph that shows how hard Arsenal have had to work for their win. But they've got their first three-pointer away from home in the Premiership season, with 2 goals from the skipper, perhaps the goal of the game from Jimmy Bullard, that got Wigan back on track right at the end of an extraordinary first half, which saw John Filan concede the first goal of the game rather unhappily from his point of view to Robin van Persie. And Wigan's wonderful winning run has come to an end. The Gunners, for the time being at least, up to 3rd place. But you haven't heard the last of Wigan Athletic. There are big challenges to come, and they're empty-handed today. But they are a club on the up, a small-town club, if you like, but with a big-time budget. Remember that from Dave Whelan, the owner here. But their grit and Paul Jewell's approach, not quite enough. In this match, maybe the big moments went against them. And certainly the goal that turned out to be the winning goal, Henry's free kick, a truly world-class effort of true precision. And the game has finished here. Wigan Athletic 2, Arsenal 3.
And that, as of now, moves Arsenal to within 8 points of Chelsea, who they play on December the 18th, and we'll be there to see that. Wigan by no means disgraced here. In fact, a terrific performance from them. They play Spurs next. They've got Manchester United and Liverpool and Chelsea to play after that. We'll see them live against both Liverpool and Manchester United. Thoroughly enjoyable. Not the result, obviously, from Wigan's point of view, but the performance, Jamie. As Andy said, they're not going to go away from this disappointed from that point of view, are they?
It's a smashing performance, because after going 2-0 down, you feared for them a little bit, but they showed so much character to come back into the game. And in the end, they was very unlucky. There was a chance right at the end with McCulloch. If he could just got his foot on it, it might have been such a different story. But they were magnificent, as they've been all season. They were top class today.
It's 18 months now and 39 league matches since they were beaten by more than 1 goal. Does that sort of performance tell you why?
Yeah, bundles of character, you know. Jamie said we feared from. It was probably odds on that they were going to get a real tanking after 2-0. The 2-0 down, the bubble seemed to be burst, you know, they're looking around at each other, but nobody seemed to be singling people out and arguing. They just came together collectively and they got back into the game. And you could see once they got that first goal, the whole sort of passion lifted, and everybody realised this team is going to be back in with a chance. The stadium erupted and we had a ball game, and it was a fantastic game.
Yeah.
I mean, all the goals came in the first half, Jamie, but I think the second there was certainly plenty to enjoy, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah, it was smashing. I mean, there was everything in the game. There was passion. So Wigan kept going, they kept going. At times, Arsenal had good possession. We thought they might go ahead, they might make it 4-2, but they didn't, and Wigan kept going to the end.
Let me interrupt just for a moment, because the man of the match, Barclays man of the match today, Thierry Henry, is waiting to talk to us. Here he is with Jeff Shreves.
Thierry, the first away win of the season, does that feel like a big monkey off your back?
Yes, because as you know, usually we better away from home than at home, and for some reason this season we struggle away. I have to say against a team today that didn't surprise me, because I saw them play and they were actually really good, and they were good again today, and they didn't concede a goal for a very long time. So to score 3 away from home, you're always going to think you're going to win the game, but they made it really difficult for us. And even at the end, they could have grabbed a third goal. But yes, it was really important for us to win. But I felt that when we drew at Tottenham, that something was back. And today we showed against a good team once again, that we can do good stuff away from home.
And for you personally, you hadn't scored away from home for ages in the league. Were you aware of that going to the game? And then all of a sudden you get 2.
Well, listen, I didn't want to mention it, but just tell me how many games on the last 20 games that I played, how many times I played away from home. I think I missed the last 10 away. So I can also say to you that Maradona didn't score a goal for a long time because that is not playing. So, if you're not on the pitch, it's difficult to score. I was on the pitch today and I scored.
Tell us about the conversation between you and Graham Poll that led to your free kick.
No, nothing really. It's just at the very beginning, I asked him if I can take it quick, and he just said to me, "No, don't do that, because after whatever, some
Chelsea."
Well, whatever. And then he said to me, "No, take it," when I blew the whistle, and then that's why after I just looked at him and I asked him if that was enough. So yeah, there we go.
In this morning's papers, Frank Rijkaard at Barcelona has come out and said he would like to buy you. Does that put more pressure on you to resolve your situation at all?
No, listen, I think today you saw where I am and where I play. Like I said all the time, people all the time talk about me. It seems like we talk more about it than you talk about EastEnders. So I don't know. I think you should talk more about the game and what happened today, and we won finally away from home, and I started getting sick a bit to see my face in the newspaper. So
Okay.
Tomorrow I hope it's going to be for the right reason. So
OK, you've spoken enough today, and you are the Barclays man of the match. Well done, Thierry.
Thank you.
Well, they couldn't fit him and Ronaldinho in their team anyway, could they? Could they?
For Arsenal's sake, I hope they don't.
It was Van Persie who, in fact, got the opener here this afternoon. It seems an awful long time ago now, mine, doesn't it?
Yeah, they'd started very, very shaky, Richard. The first 10 minutes, Wigan were all over them. They were getting possession and they looked like they were going to be the ones who scored a goal. And it come from a great first touch from Robin Van Persie. He just takes it on his left foot, cuts inside Argenzu, takes him completely out of the game. Could have laid it off, but he decides to go for the shot, and John Farnham should save that. No two ways about it, he should save that. But it was a lovely first touch, and he was a threat all game. And with him and Henry, Niall mentioned Fabregas was excellent as well today, wasn't he? And he was instrumental in the second goal, Fabregas.
And you did fear for them when it went too, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a lovely ball. The weight on this pass in to Fabregas and the second one, from nothing, they just opened the Wigan defence apart, and of course Henry sees the side of it. You always fancy he's going to slot that in, and at that point the stadium was quiet. The players were looking around, but they picked themselves up, and they got the break. Diziu went up and showed great determination to outjump Sigan, one or two of them in there as well. And then, as Kamara showed even probably more bravery to get in between the two defenders and the goalkeeper. He really wanted that goal, and it lifted everybody. And
little piece of nonsense that followed, wasn't it? Fabregas wouldn't give the ball back. I mean, good job Graham Poll saw that, because if he hadn't, he might have been tempted to take perhaps more action.
Yes, sometimes Graham Poll gets a lot of criticism from people like myself for doing it, but I thought he did brilliant there. He sort of calmed all the situation down, let the game come back into it, whereby he made his booking and said, look lads, we're having a great game of football here, don't ruin it. And the great thing was two of the people involved shook hands afterwards and went away, and that's brilliant refereeing, has to be said. So
you got yourself back in at 2-1, you're thinking, right, now if we're careful here, we can go again, and then there's a 2-goal deficit again. Yeah, I mean, that was the problem today. Henry gets a free kick. When we first see it, we thought John Farnham maybe could have done better, but when you see it again, this is absolutely textbook free kick from Thierry Henry. Just sets it, just gets it inside that far post, just back in. Beautiful technique. Just gets it just over the wall. The wall's jumped, so they've done everything they can, and there's nothing you can do with that. It was just pure technique from Thierry Henry. It was masterful today. I mean, some wonderful goals. Was Jimmy Bullard's the best of them? I think so, yeah, because it was, was the game over? Were they going to show enough character to try and get back in it? But you can see they fought for everything. They won all these headers in the early part of it. Sigan looked to be clearing it, but they kept fighting away. McCulloch was really well, cuts in through a few arseways, finds the ball, slots it out, and that's just brilliant there. Great composure, slots it in the far post. I mean, so again, we're on the Shakespeare thing. Where art thou, Saul? he was gone. And,
Wonderful finish by Bullard. I mean, he won't score many better than that, that's for sure.
I mean, Martin mentioned it in commentary. He does qualify to play for Germany because of his grandmother, Rose. I love what Paul Jules said this week. He said, I think his grandmother's got more chance of playing than he has. Which brings you back down to earth.
Absolutely.
But that's what Paul Jules is about. He's been magnificent. He takes the heat off his players. He's been a breath of fresh air this year, Paul Jules. He's been brilliant. And he's done a great manager. He's done a great job, and he showed the passion that he's installed into the players today.
We have made reference to this a couple of times this afternoon. You remember last December, Highbury against Chelsea, Thierry Henry over the ball, Graham Poll the referee. There was an awful lot of fuss about this, but again, Henry was asking, can I take it? Can I take it? Graham Poll said yes. Furore that followed was probably on the referee's mind today when he stopped Henry doing the same thing again.
It's always baffled me, to be honest, Richard. I can't understand. If it's your free kick, why should you give them chance to get the ball ready? I think it's your prerogative. If you want to take the free kick early, I think you should be allowed to. And that's what he wanted to do today. And I think that he's got every right to do that.
Can I take it? Can I take it? No, wait.
But he's always looking for openings. He's always looking for opportunities, windows. Can he get something done quickly? His brain is working overtime. And as players are sloppy to get themselves ready, yes, you're right, I think he should. That's enough. Yeah, I mean, there was a player, Don Hutchinson, did it with us. Sunderland took a few quick free kicks, and then all of a sudden he was stopped after getting a couple, you know. It gets people on their toes. If you're a defender, you give a free kick and you turn your back and walk away, you're letting them off the hook if the referee is saying, no, wait for him to get back into position. OK, Paul Jewell is ready to talk to us. Jeff Shreves again.
Paul, it's a long time since you conceded 3 goals. What was different today?
Well, we made 1 or 2 mistakes and got punished for them, but we're playing against arguably one of the best teams in Europe, and I mean, it must have been a great game for the supporters, certainly first half, and we've come out with no points. I think we've come out. We can take positives from that. We can take negatives, of course you can, but I think the you know, when it got to 2-0, you're thinking, could this be any score? But in fairness to our lads, they dug in there and made the right fist of it.
Was that what pleased you most, the character they showed?
Yeah, I mean, we started very well. I mean, their first shot on goal, they scored from. And then obviously when you're chasing the game against Arsenal, it can be difficult. But, you know, we showed the character. We came back into the game, and, you know, Arsenal putting a centre-half on at the end to play with 3 centre-backs is probably a backhanded compliment to us.
Is the most important thing how you react to this?
Yeah, I said to them, you know, the players are disappointed. We've been on a fabulous run. We knew it wasn't going to always continue, and we've come out with a bit of credit. And one thing we've had at the club since I've been here over the last 3 or 4 years is every time we had a little bit of a setback, we've kicked on. We know we've got some tough games coming up, but you know, I don't think we'll play a better team than that for a while.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay, cheers.
And a lot has been made of Thierry Henry's lack of goals on the road, none since February. He did make the point to us, I've not played a lot. In fact, that was only his 4th match away from home since February. So, as he said, if you're not in the team, you can't score, can you?
Sometimes, you know, we look at it wrongly. I don't think anybody should ever question Thierry Henry in terms of scoring goals, in terms of what he does. He's, you know, the most exciting player in the Premiership, that's for sure.
Briefly, are the Gunners back, having qualified, as we said earlier, for the Champions League? Is this what they're doing?
They're feeling good about themselves now.
And Sol Campbell as well now has made a big difference. He makes a huge difference today. They had problems at the back today, for sure, Arsenal, but at times he made one defensive header right near the end that was going to be a clear chance. I think it was Chimbonda that was coming up on the right side, but he makes a real difference to them.
Thanks both, appreciate your company. Plenty of sport to look forward to over the weekend. Later today, 5 o'clock, to a pay-per-view offering West Brom play Everton, channel 437 for details of how to order that. Tonight, Real Madrid meet Barcelona. It's a 6:30 start on Sky Sports 2. Football First is at 8:25 on Sky Sports 1. Tomorrow, this is always a good derby, Brighton play Crystal Palace. It's a 1 o'clock start on Sky Sports 1. Super Sunday finds us at the Riverside with Middlesbrough and Fulham. That's a 3:30 start on 1. And later that day, again on 1, it's Racing Santander against Deportivo. That's at 8 o'clock. So that's all the football that we have coming up over the course of the weekend. We will see you next at the Riverside with Middlesbrough and Fulham tomorrow afternoon. But Wigan by no means disgraced here today. Terrific football. They played but lost, beaten by the Gunners, 3-2.
Everybody's watching you now. Everybody waits for you now. What happens next? What happens next? Welcome to the fallout. Welcome to resist.